It's Tuesday, and I gotta do a bonus episode this week of the tech news to cover one of my favorite shows of the year, WWDC, as we, together, as a people, check it out. Alright, we are back to talk about WWDC that happened yesterday. So instead of breaking it down by story, let's talk about products. So first, we're going to talk about that Apple TV. Everyone saw that bomb trailer for that space show or whatever. Honestly, I didn't pay that much attention to it. I thought it was it looks alright. I still haven't seen anything content-wise that's going to be like, oh, I have to buy this service, especially when Disney has already came in and killed it and they're dropping their service in the same time slot. So as far as that, I do think Apple needs to do better, but I am liking some of the new stuff with tvOS, mainly the multi-user thing finally, because when I'm on the TV downstairs, I have an Apple TV in my room, which is the last generation one that's not 4K. We have the 4K one downstairs. So obviously in my room, I'm signed into my YouTube account and all of my stuff. But the one downstairs is all Jeff's stuff. I don't want to use his YouTube account. I want to use my own account. So finally doing the multi-user thing, which I think makes a lot of sense. And that's a welcome addition. They're also doing a new background type thing. Well, it's a new home screen basically where it has the apps, but it also has a live view, a live preview type thing. A lot of other providers and services, stuff like that have done it. As long as they can make it run smoothly, then I don't care. It's not a feature that I really want, but I'm not gonna say no to it as long as it doesn't affect performance. The biggest thing though that honestly shocked me and I was ecstatic at the same time is they're adding controller support for Apple TV for the Xbox One and PS4 DualShock controller. And I was like, thank Jiminy Christmas Bob. I don't know who that is, but thank you. Because I tried to use the Steam Link app recently on the Apple TV with the Nimbus controller, one of the older ones, and it's awful. And they have to give you these awful on-screen controls to compensate for the fact that the thumbsticks don't click in, so you kind of lose those as buttons. You don't realize how much you use them until you don't have them anymore. But I'm hyped. Just that one thing alone has me hyped about the Apple TV update. So overall, I think they did a pretty good job with the Apple TV announcements. The little TV service update, I feel like it was kind of a thing to be like, oh, we're still here. I know Disney has announced all this stuff. We have stuff too, but I don't think they have anything on a level that's really going to compete with Disney's service. But we'll have to see when it comes out. Next, we're going to move into Watch OS 6. So they announced, of course, some new watch faces. They always do new watch faces, and they're all right. But I personally use the same watch face pretty much where I can put all the complications on it. So I really want to see more complications on the watch face. That's just me personally. That's not a knock. I think the new watch faces are nice. They do some cool stuff. You should go look at it, and I'm not going to go through them. But the main thing is, for one, they're opening up the API to developers for streaming apps. So that means finally third-party streaming apps that work directly on the watch. So yep, Spotify's coming. I'm just joking. They haven't confirmed anything. But that opens a possibility. If they're releasing an API, then it's definitely possible now. 2, they're releasing the developers kit to develop apps directly for watchOS. So they're going to have an app store, that was another part of the announcement, on the watch where you can download apps. It's no longer going to be required to have to be like a companion app to an Apple or an iPhone app. So I think this is a huge step forward for making the Apple Watch its own thing. And I love the Apple Watch. I'm still rocking the Series 3. I think this was probably one of the best ones to get at the time. I mean, the 4 is definitely better, but it wasn't compelling enough to turn me away from the Series 3 because it does everything that I want, and it has LTE, and I don't want to spend $600 to get an LTE 4. So I like to try to keep my stuff for at least 2 years. So maybe this next time I'll upgrade, maybe not. I don't know, but I definitely love the Apple Watch. And they're getting the calculator app finally. Native calculator app and it has a tip calculator built in. So there's just a lot of stuff Apple Watch wise that I'm excited for. So I'm waiting for that new update. I don't know which features aren't going to be available on my watch because obviously it's a Series 3, so I'm not going to get everything, but hopefully like get most things. Hopefully. Moving on to iOS 13. So the main takeaway from this, they did spend a long time on Memoji stickers, which are going to be available on every device because they're literally like you create your Memoji and then it creates some stickers for you using the Memoji, so they look kind of like you. And you can send them to people, so it's just it doesn't involve using the camera. Then they can bring it to older iOS devices if people care about that. The main thing was dark mode. So iOS is finally getting dark mode. Okay, here's my feelings on dark mode. I like the way it looks. To me, it doesn't like put less strain on my eyes or anything like that. I just like the way it looks. So I'm happy that they're doing it. They're also adding native swipe typing support, finally. Stuff that Android's had for years. I mean, technically you could install like a swipe style keyboard when they added support for third-party keyboards, but now it's going to just be native. You can swipe to text. I've done it before. I'm not personally a fan of it. I've gotten really fast at just typing, so I guess me having to relearn how to type using the swipe stuff is just, I don't know. And then also I don't like relying on predictive text a lot because I type ghetto, so a lot of the words that I type aren't even real words until I make them into real words. I mean, that's the way it is, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, iOS it's got some new tricks. It's supposed to be a big speed upgrade. That said, like FaceTime is going to be 30% faster. They're going to compress some of the file sizes for apps in the App Store, so updates are faster. App downloads are supposed to be faster. They're adding some more options to Safari for accessibility. They're making notes and email more robust. So email, you can actually change font sizes and stuff. As someone who has to use email surprisingly a lot on my phone for various reasons, I don't even know. Like, it's not like I plan it. It's just like, oh, I gotta do something with this email. I gotta email somebody back about something. It is nice to have like the options to change font and make it look more like professional rather than just an email that's sent on my phone. Which, I mean, it still is, but at least I tried. That's what I can say. I tried to make it look more professional. So if it still looks like I sent from my phone, so be it. But at least it looks like I tried. Alright, then they're finally doing what they should have done a while ago, and they're splitting iOS and iPad OS. So iPad OS is its own thing. It's gonna have widgets on the desktop. So Safari is gonna be designed to be closer to a desktop experience. I'm also gonna talk about macOS Catalina within this because there wasn't anything like super major, but it kind of ties into everything. So along with that, on macOS Catalina, there's an app, I believe it's called Sidecar, where you can use the iPad as a secondary display. Also, iPad apps are coming to macOS Catalina. They're putting out the developers kit for it, so developers can like basically port their iPad apps over to macOS Catalina. But I think from what I saw, the interface looked cool. It's just some smarter features that they added, like being able to switch apps while you're in the split screen view and having widgets on the desktop. Like this new iPad Pro is so powerful, but they weren't really utilizing the power like the way that, well, currently it's iOS is running up there is like it's not utilizing anything. Oh, most important with macOS, not macOS, iPad OS finally adding the support for thumb drives. You can plug a thumb drive in. You could plug one in before, but it just didn't do anything. So now they're going to be adding support. They're redoing the file system as well to make it a bit more robust. So these are positive changes that I'm really happy to see. Catalina, the main thing with that is the iPad apps, and then they're splitting up iTunes into 3 separate apps. Apparently it's still going to remain the same on Windows, but it's going to be Apple Music, the podcast app, and then the Apple TV app, which to me makes more sense because I feel like iTunes was just a nightmare. Like every time I would get mad on my Mac when I open iTunes by accident. That's how bad it is. So I'm glad that they're doing something with that. I'm glad. And then the final thing, which was, the biggest announcement technically, or announcements, the Mac Pro is finally been unveiled. Design is going to be one of those, like almost every Apple design is going to be one of those love or hate things. But if you really want the machine, the people who want the machine are going to buy it, no matter how it looks. It does look like kind of like a big cheese grater. I'm not going to lie, but it's really powerful. And I'm just hoping that the upgradability isn't proprietary. I'm hoping that it uses standard parts. It kind of seemed like it did. So I really hope that this is what the pros are looking for. I mean, I'm not like a pro like that. I'm going to buy because you're talking about a 28 core Xeon processor, talking about dual Vega 2 graphics cards. Well, you're talking about up to 1.5 terabytes of RAM. So, and they overbuilt the cooler, which I was like, that's big for Apple. And they even said it that like, oh, you want to make sure this machine doesn't throttle, which is kind of like taking a cheap shot at themselves in some way. But I mean, it's when you have these laptops and these iMacs that are like this, then like, what do you really expect cooler wise? So, I mean, I guess it's an exciting time. I mean, if I was in the market for a machine like this, I would definitely be excited. If I wanted a desktop, like a really powerful desktop that was running Mac OS for like professional applications, I think I would be excited for it. They're also dropping a 6K Pro display that's like supposed to be insane with colors and all this crazy stuff. But like $5,000. I think the Mac Pro is something like $6,000. But overall, I think this was probably one of the better developer conferences they've had in a while. And, most of it was software, but I think that's kind of what we need because hardware-wise, we're going to be stale for a while. So, for them to come out with them banging softwares, son, I'm on board. But let me know what you think in the comments, because that's going to bring this video to a conclusion. I hope you enjoyed checking out WWDC with me, Mike. And if you did, remember to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, and subscribe, and always do at least 2 things at the same time. Peace.